Okay, so we've marked in our points for the eyelets. Okay, now we've just done this by hand, but you can refer to your centre back pattern piece, and that will show you where all of your eyelets are going to go in. You can customise it, make your own eyelets, you know, whatever. If you want more or less, it's up to you. I would recommend not distributing more than about 1 inch or 1.5 inches, because, you know, with these kind of tight lacing corsets, you need a lot of support all the way up the back here. And obviously, yeah, refer to your pattern and literally just, you know, poke a hole through and mark your points, do little crosses, and then we're going to go on to start putting these eyelets in, and I'm going to show you now. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to put your eyelets in kind of different techniques, basically. So first of all, I'm going to show you probably the worst solution you can possibly use in the whole world, which is John Lewis or any kind of haberdashery. You can pick up these little kits, which look something, you know, like this. And that basically contains a cutting die, I don't know why they're called dies, they just are, a cutting die, 2 little setting dies, and this plastic thing, really high quality, and obviously your base to cut onto, which is fine, and a whole bunch of eyelets, which these are actually quite good quality, these eyelets, they're not bad. And the way this whole concept works is, let's take our pattern piece, and I assume we rest our you know, our cutting piece just over here. Then we get a hammer. I had one. Okay, so yeah, the John Lewis way. So basically, you have your cutting die, and you want to rest your you know, your little mark. Let's do this one because it's easier to get to. Right over there, and we're literally going to cut a hole. And that has now cut a hole in our cotil in preparation for our eyelets. Okay. Never, ever, 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 ever do this ever when it comes to corsetry. It's the worst thing you can possibly do in the whole world. This is a craft kit, and basically you should never cut a hole in your material, because what will happen is when you put your eyelet in and you set your eyelet, wonderful, great, it all looks fantastic. Give it a couple of days down the line and you've worn your corset a few times, or you've pulled the laces really, really tight. What will happen is that hole, the fibres all around it will start to rip, and this thing will just pop out, just like that, and you'll have a massive ripped hole in your corset. It's absolutely useless, there's no point doing it, so never ever cut a hole in your cotil at any point ever, okay? So, let me just show you how this works anyway. So you have your hole, you put your eyelet in. I'll show you the other way that you create that hole, okay? It's very simple. It's a little bit difficult, but once you get the hang of it, it should be fine. So literally, I'm putting my eyelet through one side and my ring on the other. Make sure there's a little rounded top to that ring. Just make sure that goes... Can you get that? Make sure that basically goes so the rounded edge is pushing up into your eyelet. Okay, that'll give you a nice rounded edge on the top. That applies for any kind of eyelet you're putting in. And then obviously, you can figure this out. It's very easy. You basically put these together, and the kit will have instructions anyway. And then you're going to be making a lot of noise here. So that's your eyelet, yeah? Now these packs only come in silver, I think antique, it's this kind of silver. There's also antique brass and some kind of dark pewter colour. So you're quite limited when it comes to your choice. Anyway, that's how you'd put an eyelet in the really bad way, okay, the craft way. You can also use these packs, there's no reason why you can't do that. Just don't use the cutting tool, okay? Use this. And this is, oh, you nearly put a hole in your foot, sorry. This is an awl, and it's a tool you can buy from a DIY store or any kind of, I mean, you might be able to get it from a haberdashery. They're lethal weapons, you have to have ID to buy them, so be careful, because obviously, you know, it's pretty lethal. And also this is just a clicky pencil with a bit of manky foam stuck to the end of it, and you'll see why in a minute. And basically, I want to spread the fibres of my cotil. Instead of cutting a hole, I want you to push my awl through that material there, and you can always, you know, 2 fingers on the back, make sure it doesn't go through. My God, I put a hole in my finger by doing that, and I push really hard. I've got a scar there now, but literally, so 2 fingers like that, and you just want to push that through and just work it, really gradually, just work it through. Now what that is doing is, it's not cutting a hole, it's just gradually moving these fibres apart. And the slower you are, and the more, you know, the small amount of pressure you give, the better. So this basically opens up the first hole, which is wonderful. And this tool, which you can make yourself, is basically just small enough to get in there, Same thing again, fingers on the back. I'm just working really, really gently. Okay, I'm just kind of spreading that hole open a little bit, just a little bit. Now this takes time, okay? You have to do this very, very gradually, work this hole open, okay? And it's always best to start from the outside. So in other words, if this is your nice material on the back, in other words, if this is the exterior of the corset, you want to go in this way. If you go in the other way, you'll get this big kind of mess that kind of comes out, and it might get trapped and it might not look very nice on your good side of the material. So always push into the good side of your material. So just really slowly, gradually open this out, and this takes a long time. You've got like 20, 30 eyelets here, until you have a hole that's big enough for you to squeeze, and be careful, this closes up quite quickly. So you have a hole big enough